Hi all, welcome to this, a very quick video hopefully just to talk about using a couple of things online that will hopefully help people out in general as you are kind of getting organised and just using more tech in your learning just as we all are now, more and more every day, but also obviously just as things kind of peak and trough in terms of people having access to different places, be it in school or for those who can't get access to things in school. Just a couple of tips and some thoughts on things that you can do to make your life a wee bit easier. So today's video, I say, it's a wee bit different, obviously from all the stuff that I've uploaded previous to now. For people who are currently in my classes, the stuff will be obviously quite specifically valuable to you. If there's anybody who's in my previous classes looking at this, or if you're just not in one of my classes and for some reason you're on my YouTube channel, welcome, but the stuff will there'll still be stuff in here that will be hopefully valuable to you, but maybe not quite as specifically to those who are in my classes right now. So, first thing to kind of start us off, we have got a screen that hopefully you know and love, the login screen to Glow. Now, there's a bunch of different things in here. Now, this is obviously set up on the My Launchpad section. Now, when you log into Glow, it might look a little bit different. It might have the Milnes High default page, or whatever school you're in. It might have Murray Council or whichever local authority you're in. I would really encourage you always to kind of come back to the My Launchpad bit and just, you can edit this and you can make sure that it is exactly what you need it to be. Now, the tabs that I've got here might not be exactly the same as what you have, but if you see something here that you think, oh, that would be useful, I want to be able to access that, but I don't seem to have it, you can click on Add, you go to App from Library, and there's a whole library in here with kind of everything in it. So you can search for things, up in the corner here, you can have a look, and there's a variety of different apps there that you can get that are all really, really useful. Now, if I go back to the Launchpad, couple of things first off. Microsoft Office 365. Now, you've got access to all of Office 365 and the most up-to-date versions both at home and in school. Now, this is somewhere that, and you're probably going to see a whole pile of weird files appearing here in a second, this is something that I use a lot, be it in school or at home. Now, if you can see, the first time you log in, it'll give you lots of little pop-ups and things that you can just say, right, okay, this is fantastic, have a look through them, and then make them all go away. I need to make myself go away, so I can click that button. Couple of advantages to going into things in here. You can see it's referring to me as James, because this is the kind of fake student account, which is James Bond, because why not? So in here, there's a bunch of different things in here. Now, big advantages to using this as a way to open up Word even when you are in school. So even when you are in school and you're in one of the computing suites and things like that, I would really encourage people to start trying to navigate yourself in here to open up Word, Excel, PowerPoint, whatever of the Microsoft programs you want. And the reasons for that are kind of twofold. One, if I just go to open a blank document, it opens the newest version of Word. So that is quite nice. Not all of the computers that you'll have access to in school have the most up-to-date versions of these programs. So this will give you a slightly newer version, which tends to have a little bit more functionality. But two, and the big one that you'll see here, it's got editing, or mode menu editing. And if I start to go into this and I start to type a message because I can't type, and that's why I forgot to put a space in. Now this, you can see up here, is saving, and it's saved on its own. Now, I've had this conversation with loads of people, and I'm sure you guys have had this conversation with lots of teachers, where you say, oh my god, I was working on something, but something has went wrong, and I've lost a file. This saves for you. Now, what you do need to be careful to do is make sure you know where you're saving it. So when you click on that little drop down, it gives you some options for where you want to save things. And it's worth remembering that what you are saving here, you are not saving onto a school server. You are saving it onto your Glow OneDrive account. Now, this is the same, I'm going to delete that. This is the same for Excel, for PowerPoint, for whatever. They will all open up here, and then they would all save onto your OneDrive. Now, one thing, some people maybe don't like working in browser, things like that. You do obviously have the option to hit open in the desktop app, and it'll give you a whole bunch of things that says, are you really sure? And you hit yes, I am very sure, it was me that told you to do it. And give it a minute, give it a minute, give it a minute. It would ask you to log in again. Now, I am going to try and remember the login for this. I think it was just Bond James. But this is probably going to say that I'm wrong because I always... Nope, it's not. Now this is it's wrong because I'm logged in as Mr. Donlan on my computer. But this would then open up here, and it would give you Word, and it would be the same in one of the school computers or wherever you are. It would open up in desktop Word, but it keeps that big advantage where it will save on its own. So if you just hit Control S or you hit Save up in the corner up there, it will save that document online. Now, and we've done, you can continue here, and you can back in, and it'll sometimes refresh, but that's not a big deal. Now, is there other things that are worth thinking about with this? If I close this document, it takes me back to Word. Now, things that we've got here. I mean, I've got access to Teams, to all of this type of stuff that I might want them. OneDrive is worth thinking about purely because this is where everything will save. Now, some of you guys are really, really good at keeping nice, organised file directories, and some of you not so much. You are like this, and you have lots of things that are just mysteriously called document. And then when you're asked to find something, it's a total nightmare because it's all called document or document one. If you ever listen to any of my advice, folks, keep your file registries organised. Set them up by subject, and then inside those, set them up dependent on what that subject needs you to do. So for example, people who are doing geography, when you set it up by geography, then you have units 1, 2 and 3. Inside that you'll have the topics that you're studying, and you can save your stuff and keep yourself organised. It can feel like a faff, particularly if you've got a lot of stuff already there to sit and organise it, but it is well worth your time. Now, the next bit I kind of want to go on to talk to today is a tool that I'm going to really briefly go over with you. The other stuff in here you guys are hopefully kind of familiar with. SharePoint it is a very useful tool. It's not something you guys need to worry about hugely. Similarly with Sway, it's quite cool. It lets you make websites. If you want to sit and play with that in your own time, definitely go ahead. But it's not something that's going to be day-to-day useful. You've got your kind of core office programs, and then you have OneNote. Now, a bunch of you guys know that I'm a huge fan of OneNote. It is a super useful program. I'm not going to go mega in depth on it today. If people have got more things that they want to know about OneNote, that's something we can talk about. But I do want to show you guys some of the stuff that, particularly in classes with me, is going to be really, really useful going forwards. So if I open this, and then, as I try and remember which one I want this to use, I think it's this one. We open up OneNote, and it opens up with the browser version. Yes, this is what I wanted. So this is the kind of stuff that you should see whenever you open up OneNote, and particularly your class notebooks. Now, in order to use the class notebook, it's something that will have been set up for you in Teams. And if you are thinking, right, I want to use class notebook in a particular class, but I'm not sure if it's been set up, a way to find that out is if you go into Teams, and of course it's going to take a wee second to load, because why wouldn't it? Yes, we'll use the web app for the moment. And you go into, now I'm just going to go into, these are all obviously fake Teams, you'll have your own real ones. But if we go into assignments, test, and I look along this little top bit, you can see we've got posts, we've got files, we've got class notebook. Now if you don't have class notebook there, it means that your teacher hasn't set it up yet, and it's worth having a chat with them. They might not want to utilise it, or they might have forgotten to turn it on, who knows. If it's not there, that's a chat worth having. But for all of you guys who are in classes with me, it is there, because as I say, I am a big fan of it. I think it's very, very useful. And when you go in, you have some of this. You have collaboration space, which is something we might use in future. It's not really something we're too big on right now. Content library really depends on which class I'm in you're in, guys. Some of you have got more stuff in the content library than others, although if I'm really honest, I tend to give you all your own copies, so we don't use that too much. Then you go into your own book. Now, the notebooks that we have here will vary very, very slightly depending on which class and which level you're in. For example, not everybody has a homework tab, because I've not been giving out lots of homework to people. If you're in one of my presentation classes, if you're in National 5, if you're in Higher, you'll have a notes-free answers section, because we've been doing a huge amount of work on that. Everybody will have notes, assessments, and then other things, just depending on what they are. Now, funny enough, the notes is where I'll give you guys out notes. The assessments is where I will ask you guys to save assessments. If we go into the notes thing, I don't really think I've got anything in here at the minute because this is just a test one. Same with the assessments. But what you would find is that you will get kind of little pages will open up here with some notes in them. Now, anything that I send you guys that appears in one of these sections, edit. You can go nuts. You can add things. You can type little comments next to it to help yourself. If it's in your class notebook, it's there for you to use. Yep, there will be some moments where I will say maybe, right, you put something in the assessments tab, guys, I'm going to mark it, and then you might try and go back in, and you can't, and that's because it's been marked, and I've locked it because you can't change something after the test. But you get the idea. 99% of the stuff you can be in here, you can add to, you can edit it. Now, we can talk a huge amount more about the types of stuff you can do in OneNote in terms of what you can add. I'm not going to go into that in today's video. If there's a lot of demand for me to talk through exactly what you can do in OneNote, then it's certainly something I can look at making a video about going down the line. But yeah, with this, I'm going to kind of wind today's video up here, guys. Closing points to leave you with. Remember, edit your Glow Launchpad. Make sure that it works for you. One last bit, in here you've got the option to remove stuff for your Launchpad as well. So, for example, if we are never using Google Classroom, if you're just not using that with any of your classes, why have it there, hit remove, and it'll go away, and that's fine. Tidy it up, make that work for you. You remember Office 365 Home. It's where everything is. You'll be able to find documents that you were working on. You'll be able to find all of the main Office programs in here. It saves for you, so it should make your life a lot easier, and it gives you a cloud version of your documents, so they are a lot harder to misplace. And then last but by no means least, Class Notebook. When you're looking at this, and I'll open up Class Notebook, with me, guys, you'll have a couple of different sections that are there for you to use for different things. Notes is for your notes, assessments is for you to submit work, and so on. There's a lot that can go on with OneNote. It's well worth using. It's well worth playing with. Just go in and muck about with it. See what it'll let you do. If you think it should do something and it's not kind of working, fire the question into me and we can have a look at it. I'm sure between us we'll be able to figure a lot of stuff out. But it is a really, really useful tool if you use it, and it is something that a lot of you guys will be bored by this point because we've had this conversation about submit things to me in the class notebook lots and lots and lots. For others, particularly my S1s, my S2s, you guys, this is something you're going to see more and more. So it is well worth just having a look at and trying to start making yourself comfortable with. OneNote, all of the Office programs, everything's available on your phone if that's a device that you prefer to use. I'm an old-fashioned old person, so I like using my desktop, my computer. But I certainly know a lot of you guys are battering into using this stuff on your phone, and download the stuff and have a play about with it. Now, this has went longer than I intended, so I am going to wind this one up here, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. If you have got questions or anything like that, you can feel free to put them to me in Teams, or you can put things in the comments below. And with that, I will catch up with you guys later. Take it easy.